Yes, hello. I am James Rowland since latest WNR326. It's NXT New Year's Evil.
Another pleasure to be joined by at Mind and Monty. How you doing, mate?
How you doing? What's up, James? I'm happy to be back again here for
Yeah.
another review. It's cool. I'm getting the swing of this now, so I'm happy to be back.
Well, I'd say Happy New Year, and we'd just like to thank everybody who listened to the WNR Awards, and especially the NXT one. We had a great response to that. We'd just like to thank you for being a part of it. But like I say, it's our second year together now.
Yes, I can't believe it, man. Time is flying by. Man, I you never know, man. I'm happy to be out of 2020, but with things going on, it seems like not much is changing. But it's just the swing of a new calendar. We can bring it in with a strong show here. So I can't wait to get our first show of the new year on the road.
Without a doubt, we're here to put smiles on faces. But before NXT, the first major event of 2021 was actually January 4th and 5th for NJPW Wrestle Kingdom. You watch New Japan, you're a fan, aren't you?
Oh yes, I've been watching it now since Wrestle Kingdom 12, I believe. That's a few years now. So this was 15, and I've been keeping up with it for a while. I think it's probably the best pure professional wrestling in the world. At least from not only just from a storyline standpoint. I may be a little biased, but I also love their style. Strong style, and also the men. They're known for strong style, but they go in many different avenues depending on who's in the ring. And I think the Wrestle Kingdom shows are a perfect example of what New Japan has to offer because sometimes they may be long, but they have a lot to offer, and I think this Wrestle Kingdom was no exception.
I think without a shadow of a doubt, on the WNR last year, we watched our very first Wrestle Kingdom event, and we basically put the two nights kind of into one of like a best of and watching it. But I think the thing that surprised us the most was the fact of, like you talk about the Japanese and the hard style, but the kind of the set and the way everything looked, it is the kind of WrestleMania of Japan. And I think anybody that hasn't maybe seen it is to definitely give it a go, because it's always good, I think, trying different things as well,
Oh yes, definitely. You have to change your palette sometimes. It's a completely different, style. Sometimes you get used to like the WWE style, or maybe even now with AEW, you get used to that style. New Japan is completely different, and it gives you a whole new world. I mean, Japanese wrestling as a whole can give you an entire new world into pro wrestling. So, you definitely have to change up your palette.
Well, I watched the first night and the main event of the second, so we'll speak about it right now, because night one, while 7 matches were added to the pre-show and the main card, the show centered around Kota Ibushi's quest to become God and the new IWGP Heavyweight and IWGP Intercontinental Double Champion Tetsuya Naito. Now, I might be wrong with some of the names I say here, but I'm just trying to learn, if you know what I mean. So if I say anything wrong, just let me know, man. All right. Both
Okay.
men called back to their past dangerous counters throughout the 31-minute match of the year candidate, and Ibushi landed on the head a couple of occasions. There was plenty of drama, but was safe for the finish low. The Golden Star was able to pick up the win after he countered a Destiny attempt from Naito into a third Kamigoye for the 1, 2, 3. It was an incredible main event the first night. What were your thoughts on it?
Oh man, every time these two guys fight, if you anyone who's been taking note of New Japan, especially not even just the last few years, but you can go back many years ago, and Tetsuya Naito and Kota Ibushi, it's like they have this personal challenge to see how many times can we try to kill ourselves, but not, just like you said, dropping each other on the head notoriously. I think they caught headlines. I think that was a few years ago now, 2 years ago now, for this style of match, and it kind of, a lot of people caught attention, thought it maybe be a little bit too dangerous, but they always push each other to the limit, and this was another example of that. Like you said, the overall story is really the most important part of it with Kota Ibushi. He came into Wrestle Kingdom last year with an opportunity to not only win the double title, but he also had a chance to, after he lost his chance at winning the title, to win it back, and he lost that match. He was the only person out of the whole 2-night situation over the world title last year to not, end up with anything. So to him to win the G1 again, even though he was the G1 winner last year, won the G1 again, earned this shot, and overcoming Tetsuya Naito, a big rival of his over time, and they have a respectful rivalry, even though they try to kill each other. And Naito showed them, handed over the belt in a great moment after the match. It was all the emotions and the feels of anyone, especially if you're invested in the story like I am. And I just love Tetsuya Naito. I'm very biased. That's my guy. So seeing him pass the torch to Ibushi here, someone who deserves it, a guy that a few years ago when I first started watching New Japan, I looked at him, I couldn't believe he hadn't been like world champion material before, even though I know he had shots. So like the fact that he's finally over that hump and become God, as he puts it, it just really culminated the first night perfectly.
Well, this is what I put, I put down the thoughts of like just wow of a kind of the story told, and I think you make an excellent point there, because the thing with Japan that I've noticed as well is the fact is results matter, defeats matter. I think defeats might matter more than the victory sometimes, because it's them then coming back from it, and we've seen it a couple of times, I think, on the card of them going, right, these guys have beat me a couple of times, have I got it in me to get the job? It's another example of how to build stars as well, because wins and losses matter. And like I said, everybody, even I, who very limited, New Japan experience, but is a fan of Kota Ibushi, was behind him 100% in this one. Even his entrance when he came out with a kind of ticker tape, even though there was one bit of ticker tape that stuck on him, which did annoy me in the entrance. I know I'm watching for something else. The release German suplex on the entranceway was hardcore as well. Like I said, there was a couple of moves in this one. It was just an absolute vicious match. 3 finishes. The visuals were on point. Kota went for a pin, and Ridshi's ref tells him he's won. I love that as well. Ridshi's ref saying to him, because he went in for the cover, and he's like, no, you've actually won the match. And the smile on his face it was perfect. Could you see that in kind of MMA, when like the referee's pulling the fighter off and the fighter's trying to fight? And we've seen it there. And like I said, Naito took the titles and handed them to Ibushi like a proper man would. The end were real. I thought it was really, really good stuff. Before the main event, it was Katsuki Okada and Will Ospreay, and they delivered another match of the year candidate. Both of them made the match personal, and the Commonwealth Kingpin even mocked Okada's Rainmaker pose and hit him with a tombstone and Rainmaker for the nearest to near falls. The 5-time IWGP Heavyweight Champion was overcome it all, and he pinned his former friend after 35 minutes. Again, this was another incredible match.
Oh, yes. I think that was my favorite match of the night. I thought it was a little bit better than the main event, actually. But, really, you out of the two, you can't pick a wrong match. They both were that good. And I think for different reasons. I think I expected every time these two guys fight has been great. Like even when they were friends and Will Ospreay did not turn heel, they had great matches. But now with the element of Ospreay turning on Okada and the way Ospreay fought in this match and some of the things he tried, that table spot on the outside of the ring, like it's certain things like in New Japan, I like to recommend people to just watch the match, because I really almost can't describe everything you go through when you watch some of these matches, especially matches like this. It's well over 30 minutes and involving knees too. And the finish and with Okada reversing the Oz cutter with a drop kick, and the rain, finally using the Rainmaker after have not using that finisher for a long time. He had been choking people out with his money clip finisher. So he had even a story all the way down to the moves they use. It's just great stuff. And like I said, I come to expect it from Will Ospreay, because when he was a junior heavyweight, he put on classic matches on the regular, and now as a heavyweight, and of course with a guy like Okada, who we all know is one of the best in the world, if not the best, of the last few years. You definitely. I just expected them to kill it, and they went out there and they did it. And Okada won. He said he won, I guess, Ibushi and Naito. He said no one would want to go after them, and he definitely made it tough.
Well, this is the thing, but even the kind of the promo to it, even though it was in Japanese, you kind of saw Ospreay's attack, and the kind of I dug it as well, because you've got Okada saying, sitting down and talking it, and I could just imagine him saying like, well, he's the best in the business, and if anybody wants to kind of knock him off his perch, then feel free. And I kind of felt that in the build-up. for anybody that kind of not know, I mean, Ospreay's kind of a guy who's turned into a bit of a Gargano kind of heel character now,
Yeah,
so to speak.
yeah.
And he's kind of got like the way, you know, that kind of group with the Empire attacking Okada because of too many big losses. But this is the thing with Ospreay as well. I was lucky enough in, I think, 2016 to see Ospreay versus McIntyre in front of like 200 people locally nearby. And I don't think I realised kind of, obviously I wanted to meet McIntyre, but this Ospreay was something special at that point. And I think what he's done to go to Japan and, like we said, a junior heavyweight who is now making his way up. And I feel now that he's ready for main events in New Japan, as he proved in this matchup.
Oh, definitely. I believe this helped put him on that level. I think even Okada, I think after the match, in the comments, he even mentioned that this was only the beginning of him and Ospreay's rivalry. So he expects to fight him plenty more down the line. So, you know, that pretty much, if you're fighting Okada down the line, that means you're in the main event scene, and that means you probably will be fighting for the world title, the IWGP heavyweight and Intercontinental title. So, you know, it'll be. I can't wait to see what's next, and for Will Ospreay and his whole entire faction. They have promising him and Jeff Cobb, Ocon, and with Bea Priestley. And, you know, I really love what they're doing right now, and I can't wait to see what the new year has for them and what's in store. You know.
I think without doubt. And just quickly back to the match. I mean, the difference maybe between a Japanese and an American style match, or even British in that way, was the footprint on the face of Okada from us. You're asking yourself, I wonder how they do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I told you it was brutal. Like, I mean, if you watch Ospreay a few years ago, he definitely has a mean streak, especially since he started using the hidden blade in New Japan more often. But he did not do a lot of the things he resorted to in this match. And like I said, it added so much to the Ospreay character, because I think that's one of the only things you wanted to see from him, because he can do everything else. So it's so nice to see this element of his character too.
Yeah, I think it was a fantastic co-main event. Elsewhere on the show, Jon Moxley returned in a pre-taped vignette and declared he was currently IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship right to challenge contract holder. The man he will face will be Kenta, as the Bullet Club member successfully defended the contract against Satoshi Kojima. It was great to see Moxley back, and one of the things watching the matchup was how misused Kenta was in NXT.
Oh man, I think I'm reminded of that constantly. Since he's returning in New Japan, and I think it was just bad luck. Also, you know, I know injuries and some other things played a part, but also I think, you know, we can admit when sometimes NXT or, you know, WWE as a whole dropped the ball. But Kenta has been revitalized in his Bullet Club role. He seemed to be just having such a good time in New Japan doing what he does. By the way, Kojima, at over plus 50 years old, being in the shape he's in, being able to wrestle as well as he does, it's just amazing what people like him and Minoru Suzuki are doing at their age. But anyway, Kenta, again, like I said, I can't wait to see what him and Moxley can do in the match. I've been kind of waiting for this match for a while. He's defended this briefcase. I think he even mentioned it in his promo that he's defended the briefcase more than Moxley has defended his U.S. title. So he's waiting for that, and I can't wait for that match. I think a lot of people are waiting this.
Yeah, I think he said that if he has another successful defense of the briefcase, he'll be the full IWGP United States Heavyweight Champion of all time without holding the title. And like you said, the match we want is Kenta and Moxley. This was a good matchup, you know, the Pro getting a chance. Bit unlucky for Juice Robinson, who was, I think, scheduled to have this match, or what they were telling us on the commentary. But like I said, Kenta and Moxley is the match. And elsewhere, where a New Japan Pro Wrestling record was also broken, as the Gorillas of Destiny used the Iron Glove to defeat the Dangerous Tekkers and become 7 IWGP Tag Team Champions. These were two good teams. Obviously, I know Zack Sabre Jr. quite well, because obviously the British connection as well, with his match versus Ospreay. This was a great matchup, though, I feel.
Oh man, I really loved it. First of all, God is one of my favorite teams. One of the teams that got me invested into New Japan was just off imagery before I even got to watch. Just seeing the way Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa looked a few years ago kind of drew me to New Japan. But besides that, Dangerous Tekkers as a team, I really enjoyed them together. The Tai Chi and Zack Sabre Jr.'s chemistry is really underrated. Tai Chi as a whole has just completely changed. Like for a few years ago, he was like a joke in New Japan, and now the fans love him. And the way they played on that in this match, and they kind of tortured Tai Chi for most of the match. And then when Tai Chi finally makes his comeback, and the way that you could just tell everyone was into it, and Zack Sabre Jr. Helping, and then of course here comes the Iron Claw used against him, something that was given to Tai Chi. Oh man, it's just great storytelling, just great match all together. And like you said, history was made. Gorillas of Destiny, man, I really enjoyed that match too.
And the thing is as well, anybody listening maybe saw that matchup, because the thing is that the way I use it is Amazon Fire Stick, and it is so easy now. Other Fire Sticks and other stuff that is available, but with the New Japan app, obviously all my apps are on there, and you can just select it, and on the actual New Japan app, you can select the English commentary, and it's not the full event. You can select a match you want to watch, which I think is quite clever, because like you said, it's the 4 hours each night, aren't they? So if you do want to watch that, and the quick thing is about it, the GOD, the reason that people look at them and go, well, they should be in WWE, they're not in WWE through choice, and I think you can tell that all in the matchups that they've had in New Japan, you know?
Oh yeah, exactly. I think, and also most teams, especially with the recent treatment of tag teams in WWE, they're a little apprehensive about signing the WWE in general. So I think they noticed what they have here in New Japan, and there in New Japan is really a good situation, and they've been cornerstones now since 2016. And I think they're just going to keep that good thing going. They have something that no other team in New Japan has, and that's the fact that they are brothers, and that element is important. And I like how they use that in their matches. Awesome.
You're about to out. They're called 7-time champions. So the full results for the first night: Toru Yano, Bad Luck Fail, Bushi and Chase Owens won the New Japan Rambo. Hiromu Takahashi defeated El Fantasma. Gorillas of Destiny defeated Dangerous Tekkers. Kenta defeated Sachi Kujima. Hiroshi Tanahashi defeated Great Okan. And Kota Ibushi defeated Naito. But night 2, Jay White had repeatedly got the better of Kota Ibushi in their previous encounters, defeating the Golden Star at Wrestle Kingdom 14 during the G1 Climax 30 and that power struggle. The question heading into the main event was, could Ibushi overcome arguably his greatest challenge and leave the Tokyo Dome as God? Now, even reading it out, I'm getting excited, because what a story that is on paper, you know?
Exactly. And what I love about it is they have slow builds to their story. Certain things that you don't even notice. Everyone fights in the G1. You don't really think about it at the time when he beats him that's going to come back and mean something at Wrestle Kingdom. But everything New Japan does, like you said, is for a reason. And it comes back, like you said, wins and losses matter. And it plays a big factor in this match, because this is Jay White's role. He is the foil. He's foil past championship reigns, whether it was Okada, whether it was Tanahashi, and now, of course, multiple times, like you mentioned, with Kota Ibushi. So that played a factor. That storytelling element is definitely a big part of this match. And man, what a match that they put on to go along with the story.
Without a shadow of a doubt, it was the longest match in Wrestle Kingdom history. It was an all-out war. In the closing stages, Galo pulled the ref out after Bushi hit their Kamigoya and Phoenix Splash, then ran into a Blade Runner but managed to get the shoulder up. Jay White tried to connect with a second Blade Runner, but hit reverse Kamigoya, then exposed his knee similar to his match with Naito and delivered a third Kamigoya to retain the gold. Sanada came to the ring and challenged Ibushi for a future match. Ibushi accepted. He then cut a promo. Sanada left. He said he had done it. He had become God. He then posed on the turnbuckles with his total belts. He walked around ringside and bowed to Jushin Liger. Ibushi took his time as he walked up the ramp, then posed on stage, holding his belts aloft as the fireworks shut off. This felt like a huge deal. This is how it's done. What were your thoughts on the match and that whole moment as well?
Oh my goodness, the match was that was Jay White's performance of a lifetime. He's had some really good matches, but man, that was like one of the ones where he just absolutely showed what he can do. And man, and of course, Ibushi doing exactly what I'm used to seeing him do on a nightly basis, and he's just always been great at just performing when the lights are on brightest, even in defeat. So now when he finally overcomes it and wins, it just it makes you elate. I saw a lot of people, actual the rest like Milano, actual commentators crying during the situation, and like I think Kevin Kelly on English commentary mentioned that made him tear up. It was actually those are the moments that you live for. That's what the payoff. That's why you go to those big shows, like you said, a WrestleMania or Wrestle Kingdom. You go for that payoff to see one of your favorites or just someone you've grown fond of overcome their biggest challenge. And Jay White through everything he had. Like I said, that Gato spot where Gato distracts and then he gets attacked and then Jay White hits the Blade Runner. Jay White has won many of matches, including that last match with Kota Ibushi, the exact same way. That was a callback to the way Jay White falls every other opponent, and Kota Ibushi overcame that. So it was just great. It's just great storytelling all together and just a wonderful moment in match. And man, I think it deserves all the praise it's been getting.
Well, without doubt, I mean, like I said, what a match. It was a simple story with two great storytellers. Kota showed a real dark side in this one. The German off the second rope by Kota was incredible, and the shoulder up by White was so clever as well, because you don't usually see that. And I think White shone as well. Both men gave everything, but what a moment it was at the end. The full results for that night was the KOPW 2021 four-way match. Toriyano Ibushi and Chase Owens. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match, Suzuki Gun defeated Ryusuke Taguchi and Master Waito. Never Openweight Championship match, Shingo Tagai defeated Jeff Cobb. That was a great match as well, actually. Sanada defeated Evil by pinfall. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match, Hiromu Takahashi defeated Taiji Ishimori. And, of course, in the main event, Kota Ibushi defeating Jay White. Overall, I think Kevin Kelly on commentary was great as well. I mean, Chris Charlton and Rocky Romero were okay, but I think, like I said, there was true emotion with the commentators at the end of that event there, wasn't there,
Oh, yeah, definitely. Kevin Kelly is really good at, depicting what's going on. I think Chris Charlton does a good job of setting up history or letting you know context maybe you didn't know about the story. But like you said, Kevin Kelly was definitely hitting the right chords on commentary, and it was just great. It was all around like just a great moment. After 48 minutes of a match, they went 48 minutes, and I didn't even realize it. Like that's how into the match you get. You don't even notice that it's the longest match. And sometimes some matches were lengthy and they drag. You don't, but that match didn't drag at all at one moment. So I really enjoyed that match. It was really well done by New Japan.
I think without a shadow of a doubt, I think if we look at that weekend as a whole, I think for, like I said, Kota Ibushi to go 90 minutes over 2 days is incredible. He's my person of the 2 nights. Who would say is your standout performer of Wrestle Kingdom?
Yeah, I think it's hard to go against that. Kota Ibushi definitely deserves the number one spot. Maybe Hiromu, who also wrestled twice, because I liked his match with ELP, and him and Taiji did well also. Sanada is always great, in my opinion, and I would definitely give an honorable mention to Shingo, because Shingo and Jeff Cobb, like you mentioned earlier, man, they put on a great match also. I'd suggest people seek that match out from the weekend also. Night 2, in my opinion, was probably the best card overall.
What was your match? Because I think I've got to go Okada Ospreay. I think, like I said, these two guys getting everything. I think you expect a great match, but when they deliver, you kind of get that sort of satisfaction. I think that'll be my match. Even though Ibushi winning again was probably the moment overall, I've got to say my match, Okada Ospreay.
Yeah, I agree. I think the best overall match probably of the whole weekend was definitely Okada and Ospreay. But Kota Ibushi and Jay White, definitely, if you want to go 1A, 1B, or if you want to give them honorable mention, they definitely deserve it because, man, they put on a great one also.
And I think overall, for the entire event, like I said, this is my second Wrestle Kingdom. I'm not kind of up to date with the New Japan product. I do check out certain things here and there. I really enjoyed it, as an overall event for both nights. I've got to say it's a 9.25 because it offers you something. It offers you enough so like if you're just like a WWE fan, like even with the briefcases and the championships, you kind of know what's going on. And if you're looking for a little bit more kind of hard style, you got that kind of technical standpoint, and of course, kind of the story was spot on. And of course, in the biggest show of the year, you need the biggest moments to happen. And I think it delivered. So that's a 9.25 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I'm going probably a 9.5. Another great Wrestle Kingdom again. I enjoy almost every part of it, even the Yano stuff, all the way down to to the main events of both cards. I'm heavily invested in New Japan, so I really definitely I enjoyed both shows. Maybe like I said, I lean more towards night 2 being maybe the stronger card. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed it, and I recommend that anyone, not only do you watch Wrestle Kingdom 15, check 14, 13, check out a lot of the past Wrestle Kingdom. They have a really good track record of putting on some of the best shows of the year at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and I just want to elaborate on that point, because that is excellent. Because, if you're looking at current talent now, or Kenny Omega, AJ Styles, people on top of their games in other promotions, this is kind of where they really had standout moments and matches. So definitely, and it's only, I say only, it's like £6, £7 a month to get this, and I think it's really worthwhile to see this kind of action that maybe not a lot of people know that's going on, but truly delivers.
Definitely, and like you mentioned, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, plenty of people that you may know in the future. There's rumors about Jay White now. I don't know what's going on with that situation. But maybe he'll be showing up in NXT or WWE in the future. Who knows? But that's also a great part of New Japan. I'm so invested that that element is just the icing on top. That if you get one of those guys to cross over and be great in New Japan and the WWE spotlight, but either way it goes, yeah, I definitely recommend New Japan. This quality wrestling, good content consistently.
Yeah, I think without a doubt, and considering I'll class you as the kind of the expert of New Japan at the moment, is there anything else during the year that it's a stand-up moment or event that we should watch or review? Then I'm up for that as well. There's no doubt about that. The problem is, though, NXT has to follow it. And how could they do it? Because we went on to January 6, 2021. It's NXT is evil. What are your thoughts on NXT since War Games? Because that's the last event that we reviewed.
It's been a pretty okay show. I think they have been lacking a few things, but for the most part, my only thing is that some of the stuff has been a little bit predictable for me, but not too bad. I've been enjoying the shows, and it's always quality wrestling for the most part on NXT. So I definitely love NXT on a week-to-week basis. But leading up to this pay-per-view, I was looking forward to the Finn Balor rematch. But I'm trying to figure out, and of course Rhea and Raquel, but not much else. So everything else, I was just trying to see what did they have planned for us. But I was definitely still ready to get into the show. I think NXT does a great job that even with this pay-per-view of making you ready for whatever they're about to do, whether it's a special or actual takeover.
I think without a doubt. So let's get on with it then. And we see Dexter Lumis walking into an empty and unlit CWC, turns on the lights, then throws a big switch with a devil logo on it. Suddenly fans are here, and he's in the red and black tux, and Vic Joseph, well, because obviously a show. Vic's also wearing a tux and is upset that Wade Barrett isn't. I mean, and our first match is a takeover level match. It's Damian Priest versus Karrion Kross. Scarlett and Kross do the usual entrance, and Priest looks unimpressed. It's good to see. What are your thoughts? This is quite a big match, I feel.
Oh, definitely a big match. Like you said, takeover worthy. Even though with no title, imagine how big it would be if it was a championship situation. But yeah, definitely big. They have done a good job of building both of these guys up, and two of the best entrances I must mention, and not only in NXT but just in wrestling in general.
And I said I will completely agree with you there. It was great to see it. It gave it kind of big fight feel straight away because you knew about the characters. It's great to see Kross back after unfortunate injury. as well. But they lock up and tumble to the floor, but stay tied up even when they crash into the barricade. Referee forces a break on the apron. They square up for a strike in exchange, and Priest lands the first kick, but Karen gets him for a slam, and Damien sells the damage to his ribs from the powerbomb spot last week. After a few more strikes, Damien smiles at Cross and starts trash talking. Karen gets hot, which creates an opening for a big right hand that rocks Cross. That was cool. We get a flat line, a splash combo with a massive clothesline. Then Priest is able to get most of a broken arrow. But I was thinking it's unusual to see two big men have a match in NXT.
Yeah, it's rare, other than maybe the thing with Keith Lee and Dijakovic, and Priest and Keith Lee had a run. I think so. Other than those few occasions where you get these things, these are all, but they always do a good job when they happen to build it as a big deal. Involving these. I think Bronson Reed and if you want to count Priest and Bronson Reed as a big colossal type match, so they do. They do have these matches a little bit now that I think about it, but to be fair, they make it sure every time these guys fight, this is a big deal. I remember Keith Lee and Dijakovic being a big deal, the Martinez and Dijakovic, all of that. Now with Cross and Lee, so definitely a big time match here to lead off the show.
Do you think that's where the main event is going, maybe a little bit, with guys who are slightly more kind of WWE sized? We talked about Dijakovic and Keith Lee, obviously we've seen them before, and now Priest and Cross. It's kind of, more Adam Cole, Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano types, or is it good to have a bit of variation in NXT rather than having something that we've seen many times?
Yeah, I think personally, from my point of view, I don't think they should get too hitched to any particular body type. I think they should, keep being the diverse roster that they are. I think that's their strong suit, is showing off how diverse and how deep their talent pool can be. I think that's when NXT has been at its best, is when everyone is focused on. So I don't think they need to focus on that primarily. But I do believe that these guys like Cross, like Priest, are probably perfect for Vince to call up. So I will mention that. Like, that may be definitely because of their size, because of what they're capable of, as we've seen with Keith Lee and Dijakovic already, being called up. So I don't know about the main event scene of NXT being more heavyweight centered, but definitely I can see them being called up into the WWE system.
I think without a doubt we see these two big men going at it. Cross missed a shoulder first into a post. Priest targets that with strikes and submission. They trade blows in the middle of the ring. Priest misses another back elbow splash and gets hit through a rebound clothesline. Cross hangs Damien up in a trio woe and delivers a few boots, followed by charging him with a knee to the ribs. He sets up a Super Saito suplex, but Priest fights freeze, raises the edge, but it costs Priest, who ribs are killing him by the time he covers. Cross able to kick out, but again, a nice show of power there by Priest. They brawl in the apron, carrying up and over from Priest. That was absolutely beautiful. Again, Priest showing his power and then showing his agility to jump over the top. He climbs, spinning heel kick from the top. South of Heaven connects, but Cross gets his shoulder up at 2. I'll say Priest's variety is so good because you don't really get bored of him doing the same style, do you?
Oh no, he can switch it up. He's I think that's one of the things that makes him so. I think that's why everyone looks at him. If you watch him, you can just see him being such a big star because there's so many things he can do. He can have a power game. He can strike you. He can do some of the agility and athletic stuff. He is really really good in the ring. And I think another thing is that that makes him be able to have a match that I wasn't even expecting with Cross. Cross is not necessarily bigger than Priest in this situation, but I see it was moments where he picked them up and just slammed them in this match where you just realize, I guess, even though Priest is big, tall, he may not be as burly or as have as much weight on him as Cross does. But either way it go, I love that element. I love how, like you said, how versatile he can be because he can be dominant with his strength, but at the same time he can sell for anyone. With his style. So he's great. I like everything about Damien. And this match showcased even more of that.
I mean, without doubt, I mean, we see him try to go for a reckoning, but gets thrown over Cross's head. We get a high angle powerbomb, which looked absolutely vicious. As JR would say, it folded him up like an accordion. Priest rolls out to regroup him, and Carrion follows. He gets hit with 2 kicks, but a third is caught. Cross drives in midsection first into the scaffolding, then slams him on the steps. Not again. We've seen the stairs with Priest before.
He loves those spots on the steps. I don't get it.
It's going to come back to haunt him. Priest gets to his feet in the ring and pisses Cross off by telling him he's still standing. A Saito suplex to the back of the head ends it. Thoughts on this? It was great stuff from both guys. Priest lost nothing in defeat and just has that look. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think the presentation of Cross as an unstoppable monster has definitely grown on me. Wasn't too sure on him around, when he beat Keith Lee. And I know this is really his first match back. But, just watching stuff like this and thinking about the fact that he dominated Ciampa, thinking about the fact that he pretty much beat Keith Lee pretty handedly. They are really running with the fact that Cross is unbeatable and just he's definitely looked like the doomsday monster that they're building him up to be. The striking throughout the match was great. And Priest, with his comeback, like you mentioned, the flurry that he can go on, and just him, of course, meeting the steps again, kind of feeling like a callback to how we got to babyface Damian Priest, and his defiance in the end, making him look like $1 million. I just loved it. Pre-show resilience. I give it 4 stars.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Like I said, a fantastic way to start the show. And another thing that added to it is the fact that we had no ad breaks as well, so it didn't ruin the flow of the match whatsoever. We released polls as well, and poll-wise, Cross got 75% of the vote. No real surprise there. We learned Adam Cole and Roderick Strong face Breezango in first round of Dusty Classic next week. Then Mackenzie Mitchell interviews the Era Boys. Cole talks up their credentials and promises to re-fulfill the prophecy in 2021. Roddy says respect Breeze and Dango, but they're going to beat them. They talk about how Kyle O'Reilly starts prophecy refilling tonight by winning the NXT Championship. We then see the Grizzled Young Vets in the crowd, reminded they've been in a dusty field. Then it's Cruiserweight title time. It's Santos Escobar versus Grand Metalik. Dorado's here with a challenger. Oaken Wild around Mendoza with a champ. Escobar shows up in a mask but loses it before the bell. What are your thoughts on this matchup? Of course, Grand Metalik getting a couple of victories recently. What are your thoughts on the Cruiserweights at this moment in time?
I think they kind of listened to me when I called him overrated, and they wanted to add someone they knew he could have a decent chemistry with in Metalik. In their styles. Their styles really complemented each other. I would definitely say that in this match. The matches, again, like I think I always say this when the cruiserweights come up, the matches are always interesting and really good to me. It's just usually what's going to happen after the match, or is there a story connected to it? And again, how deep is this division? We see Metalik here, but what would be next after this? But again, as far as the match goes, definitely these guys had a great chemistry.
I mean, without a doubt. We talk about guilty pleasures. For me, Lucha House Party's music is one of those guilty pleasures because I think it is a banging tune. And also, Grand Metalik dressed like Sin Cara for his title defense as well, which I thought was interesting enough. We get a filling out process for Lucha style. Then a Hulk Runner sends Escobar to the floor. He teases a dive. Springboard runner into the floor. Then Escobar connects with a forearm, but Metalik sends him into the floor. And Springboard top flattens the champ. Dorado fans off his guy. He tries for another run off the apron, but Santos counters or slips. It is hard to tell. He swings Metalik into the fence. And then there's a beatdown with a champ target in the lower back. Weird enough, Metalik was in the CWC, the Cruiserweight Classic, back in 2016 that we've covered on the WNR. He got to the final after beating Zack Sabre Jr. in the semi-finals. TJP won that competition after he beat Kota Ibushi in the other semi. Now, if you think about that, when it's, about the talent, where only Metalik is the only one now in WWE, is it that much of a surprise that WWE dropped the ball with the CWC when you think about the talent involved?
Yeah, that's one of those things that I know they regret, letting people like Zack Sabre Jr. walk out the door, and TJP, and just the way they treated some of those guys also, and even the fact that Metalik is still there it's kind of amazing if you think about even some of the way that even guys like him and Lindsay have been treated. They are, as much as I think Lucha House Party is good, I think we can admit they could be used more properly, doing more interesting things. But they're definitely once you let those guys get in the ring, the king of the ropes, uh, definitely is right up their alley, right in their group of talent. You know what I mean? He had a match with AJ Styles that I really enjoyed not too long ago on SmackDown a while back, but that was really really great. But anyway, Metalik, but when you think about it, the failure that was the cruiserweight tournament, even though how great that tournament ended up being, and the fact that they could not, keep that talent, I know it eats at them that, they lost a lot of that to other promotions.
I'm sure it doesn't bother Gran Metalik that he's going for the cruiserweight title, whereas Kota Ibushi's main event in both nights of Wrestle Kingdom. Anyway, back to the match. Metalik dodges the charge and follows with a super kick and a flatliner. Springboard drop kick sends Santos to the outside. The way he spins on the ropes, though, like we talk about Metalik, is sensational. Off the top rope, springboard senton. They're both down to the floor. Back in a splash off the top rope, only gets two. The challenger with a kick to the fast, but follow-up splash attempt leaps right into a high knee. We get an arrow from the depth of hell, says Metalik into the barricade. The back end, the champ gets two. Escobar throws him into a couple of sets of turnbuckles. Up top, a Metalik mask slips for the second time and contributes to the fall to the apron, while those look to get involved, but Dorado flies off to save his partner, and after a couple of counts, it suddenly ends with the champ hitting the Phantom Driver to retain the Cruiserweight Championship. I weren't really sure about the ending, if it was meant to end, but in that way, but they got it done. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
Oh man, I thought it was cool. I liked Wade Barrett on commentary putting over Escobar. I think I was like, that's another guy I think heard me say he's overrated because he really was trying to put him over to me on commentary. But Metalik really was putting on a show in this match until he flew right into that jumping from Escobar, and that kind of the end was not too far after that. But I enjoyed it. It was solid. It wasn't too insane of a match. That's why I kind of give it 3 stars. I thought it was just a solid, okay match. Because even though Metalik did, and they have a great chemistry together, I've seen Metalik do a lot of that before. So, I thought it was a really good match. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being a really good match.
No, I think without a doubt. And just say your point there about Wade Barrett's commentary, because he says something in the first match as well, when Cross had him up on the top rope and is going to hit the side to suplex, and Barrett goes, "Oh, that's the move that beat Keith Lee for the NXT title." And that's exactly the kind of commentary I want to hear when you think of a move of being impactful, and you go, "Well, wow, if that won the title off him, then that's got to be a big move if he hits it." And it adds more, as opposed to commentators going, "Oh, he's hit that move. Well, it's definitely over," when you know it's not going to be. And I think that's the difference.
I agree, and I think that's why Barrett won the commentator award.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. Match, Santos does need more challenges, I feel, for the Cruiserweight title, but there is potential there because the Galas and Phantasma, I think, are really, really good. I'm going to give that a 3.5 out of 5. Poll-wise, Santos got 64% of the poll, and then we see Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez warming up, and then we are told Xia Li is next. After a break, we first hear from Mercedes Martinez. She says Io Shirai didn't look like the overall competitor of the year when she kicked her ass a couple of weeks ago. Mercedes doesn't care about the last title. She wants the women's title. That excites me that match is coming up.
Yes, I can't wait. I love the promo. It was great, tone by Mercedes there. I like the confidence, someone stepping up to EO that's confident, after the dominant year she had. It's a breath of fresh air, and I just can't wait to see what they can do together. Hopefully at the takeover in February.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. And then we see a woman who's on the golden throne on the stage. The camera pulls back, and Zia and Boa are next to her. Boa escorts Lee down to the ring and moves her headpiece, and Zia does a few forms and heads into the ring. What do you make of this entrance? Because I got Dungeon of Doom vibes. I don't know about you.
Wow, okay, I didn't think about it. I think, man, that's a dated reference right there. But I get it. I got where you're coming from. I wasn't expecting it. That's what happened. But honestly, I get what you're saying. I honestly have no clue what's going on. The imagery, the pale face character or whatever is definitely eye catching, but I have no clue where they're going with it. I'm just gonna be patient and see it. Like I said, it caught my eye, so I think that's maybe the goal is to just see is to get you interested and see what's going on. So I want to see what her and Boy what's their plan, or maybe what are they doing now. Where did this switch come in? Besides the fact we know that they're going to be different in competitors just based on the training videos we've seen. But I would like to learn more about all of this now. But yeah, it was definitely, like I said, something I wasn't expecting to see. But I gotta say, her look, especially towards the end of the entrance and everything, man, she definitely looked great.
Well, this is the thing, and she was in action against Katrina Cortez. Katrina was on the main roster for about a second. She managed to evade and then gets kicked out. Zia stops the bell to her trainer, cult leader. More kicks. She licks her palm for a strike, but Cortez fires back. Lee isn't selling pain after training now. More kicks and a spinning back kick ends it. Lee defeating Katrina Cortez. She and Boa head up the ramp and bow to the mystery woman. What are your thoughts on the match? And this is one of the things, one positive in NXT, at least in women's characters, because like you said, it's adding layers now to a woman who wasn't getting used, and she's not kind of near the top of the card. But rather than kind of wasting like a tag team or men's, whatever it is, they go, now let's develop another woman and make her interesting. I think it's credit to NXT for that.
Yes, I agree 100%. I didn't really rate, I didn't give it a star match because it wasn't really about the match as much as it was more so about the story of the evolution of Xia Li and, maybe this new, not so much moveset, because she's always kind of had a martial arts style, but it seems now that she's more kind of like reminding me of Bray Wyatt when it comes to being immune to taking pain because of the painful training we've seen take place in the vignette. So I would like to see them develop, just how tough Xia Li is. And, and I agree, someone who wasn't really used, like you said, much other than a match here and a match there. And she was on a losing streak before this. So now seeing what could possibly come with this and a whole new look, the new entrance, the character, making giving her a whole new interesting element. It's just a great job, and I like that. I agree. I've so many times over the years, some of the undercard people do not get the proper attention. So the fact that they're giving her a chance to kind of rebrand and do something new and establish another talent. Man, I think that's only going to make this already strong women's division even more strong.
Yeah, and that's the success, to build on the foundations that they've got. We then hear about Thatcher's injury, and then Mitchell interviews Bronson Reed at ringside. He knows about injuries, and it left him frustrated. He's going to take all that frustration out on NXT roster. He picks his countrywoman in our next match. It's a last woman standing affair, and talk about takeover worthy versus Raquel Gonzalez. Raquel was impressed. Just look at War Games. You talked about being excited. How excited were you for this match before it kicked off?
I mean, I'm definitely looking forward. I knew this was going to be the next chapter in this great feud. Rhea Ripley took care of business in their first matchup, even though I really enjoyed that. And now with the stipulation of last woman standing, I knew that they were only going to go even harder. And I think their chemistry showed through even better in this match. It was just a great match, and they started out with such a breakneck pace just from the beginning, just taking it out on each other. And man, I love the intensity of this match just from the start.
Well, like you said, Ray with a drop kick right at the bell, punches in the corner. Fez press puts Raquel down, but they trade top position. Back up Gonzalez with big clothesline, overhead throw, and another one. The big Texan is in control. Ripley up at 4. You can tell these women don't like each other, and so many times in a kind of rivalry match or when they've got a feud, they kind of technical wrestle, or I remember that with Ray and Eddie, like they were feuding and they hate each other, but it was just so technical. It's like, well, no, should be a nastiness. There was definitely a nastiness to this matchup here. You could tell they despised each other.
Yes, I think that's what separate. I think the Miz recently is another example. I remember I think he was in the storyline with Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt did something to his family, supposedly attacked his young daughter, and he's not only making his regular Hollywood interest, they tie up or whatever at the beginning instead of him being angry and jumping on Bray from the beginning. So yeah, I agree. I love how along with this, that they have a broken friendship. They seem like two people who just don't like each other anymore for whatever reason. And like you said, they came out with that type of energy from the beginning, and it was just it added to the already tough stipulation where everyone whenever a last man or last woman standing match is coming, that they're going to inflict a lot of damage on each other.
Well, like I said, Raquel was talking to her opponent, saying how easy Ray was to fall into thinking that that fires the Nightmare up and they spill outside. Ripley tries to jump off the steps for a drop kick and flies into a steel chair. Gonzalez throws her into the barricade. Raquel's a pair of handcuffs, but Ripley fights her off and cuffs Raquel to the fence. She doesn't get much offense in before Gonzalez turns the ties and just rips out the pizza fence to free herself. The strength of Gonzalez on show there. And again, a really, really good spot. They fight to the timekeep's area with Raquel using the piece of fence cuffed to her wrist as a weapon. Raquel uses the bell hammer to create some space, but Gonzalez will drop right onto the announce table. And the way Ripley hit the corner looked like she had broken her back.
Yes, man. I winced myself when that spot happened. In the way she landed, it didn't look like the table had much give to it either. It was a cut. That was the first of a couple of more just spots where I was like, wow, man, these ladies are tough.
Well, Gonzalez went for the cover and the referee said you can't, and Gonzalez with him as well, which I thought was quite cool. The Aussie managed to get up low, and Gonzalez, we can see them fighting all over the place as we go to an advert, and then when we come back, Gonzalez is speared into a glass door, and it is shattered, both women down for 7. That was a holy shit, because I thought, was that meant to happen? Because the way the door had smashed, it you know what I mean? It was such a sickening sight.
Some best moments in wrestling when you're not sure if that was planned.
Honestly, I couldn't believe it. And then we see Ripley kicking Raquel down a hallway into the production area. She sets her up into a catering table and climbs onto a cabinet. DX suck it, and then she dives from a swanton through the table. Fucking hell, that was unbelievable. So you think if Ripley, someone her size, should attempt something like that, but does. Again, another crazy bump.
Oh, yeah, man, definitely got a pop. She's going to have to start putting a little bit more hips into her cross chop. I think she could have improved it. But it was definitely a holy shit moment. Also, again, that athlete like that, being able to do that. And a table bump altogether is always tough, but, it's always just nice to see that spot when it's done the right way, and it was definitely executed properly.
Well, they're both down, but when Ray gets up, here comes the Kota Ibushi kendo stick. She beats down the Nightmare, makes sure her partner's okay. Ripley time to recover. She kicks. When I say kicking her ass with the locker, like like Kai, it's just slam, 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 and then she's like, "No, I'm going to put her in it," and I was like, there's no way she's putting her in there. And then putting the carry case there. Such a great visual of like, screw you, and it's like, fair play there.
Oh, it was perfect. It was a great moment. I couldn't believe Dakota Kai was a grown woman would fit perfectly like that in the locker. First of all, it was just great. I hope that wasn't too triggering to anybody who had to be stuffed in lockers in high school. Luckily for me, that wasn't my role, but I don't want that to be triggering for anyone. But man, I definitely would pop for that, man. I had a nice chuckle at that spot.
It's unbelievable, but she walks right into a chair shot onto the stage. Ripley fights it off and locks into the reverse cloverleaf, where she tries to use the chair for the crossface as well. Again, it's such a cool looking visual, so you can see with both women as well the welts and the marks and the pain from the match. And another great bit of commentary is Wade Barrett saying, "Oh, I've never been in a last man standing match" at the start of it, and then during the end you can see, "I'm glad I was never in a last man standing match if this is what you have to do." We see her blocking the submission low, and Gonzalez kicks free and sends Rhea face versus some scaffolding, and they're down but break the count. Raquel charges and Ripley scoops her into the board. They both somehow break the count again. Rhea tries to lead her to a piece of stairs that ended up there, but Gonzalez grabs her leg and she bounces her head back first off the stairs. The big Texan then sets up a choke slam and they go through the stage. Gonzalez rolls out and gets to her feet at 9, winning the last women standing match. And honestly, I think what a matchup, stealing the show there as well. You know?
Oh, definitely my match of the night. I was invested deeply into this match. By the end, they did a great job of just like the spots seemed to get bigger and bigger. I believe the torch has definitely been passed. It's like I think they mentioned at the end of the match, Raquel is now the baddest woman in NXT. And honestly, I can't wait for Mercedes and EO, but I don't know what else Raquel is gonna have to do to prove that she can be a world champion or challenge EO at some point. So that's another person EO can watch out for. Again, I think the women's division in NXT is the best division in wrestling. At least on the American side, barring things that I'm interested in Japan. I don't know a deeper and more a better roster, at least especially from a women's standpoint. I really enjoy what they've been doing, and I think Raquel and not only Raquel and EO, but just Raquel right now can be. I think this is another star-making performance, and this is like you said, War Games, and the match she had with Rhea before that, or also. So like, man, Raquel has really been on a roll right now, and I really enjoyed this match. And I gave it 4.5 stars. I thought the only thing this match was missing was if it had a title on the line. Then, maybe you can put a 5-star element. That's not any fault to the ladies. I think they did a great job.
I completely agree with your rating. I'm giving that a 4.75 out of 5. Again, if it was a title match, it would be an all 5. But what I find interesting is when people say, and especially like you hear it a lot of W documentaries and a lot of things of older wrestlers saying, oh, you don't need wins to become a star. You can get over just by being over. But I think when you look at Gonzalez and when you look where she was as a kind of manager to Kota Kai, and now, like you said, War Games and the victories over Ripley, she looks like an unstoppable force. And from someone that maybe we weren't sure about a couple of months ago, again, character development of looking like a monster, and you're going, well, she faces Io Shirai, then Io's in big, big trouble because look at what she's done to someone like Rhea Ripley. And again, it's perfect, I feel, in NXT of the building of the women's division again, and everything that it's doing right at this moment in time.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That execution of that storyline is just one of those elements again that is necessary. And I commend these ladies. I feel like every time I do one of the NXT reviews, the ladies do something in these matches where it's just like, man, they are tough. Like, all the way back to the LeRae Io Shirai match to now, and Shotzi Blackheart's moments at times. Man, these ladies are always every special we review are putting on a hell of a show.
I think without a shadow of a doubt, and the polls went for Rhea Ripley, and that one 77%, so they were unhappy. But like we say, I think pretty soon Ripley should be called up to the main roster. We then see Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae riding on the back of a limo with a police escort en route to the CWC for their New Year's celebration. We stay with them on the small screen. The officials checking on Ripley. She sits up on her own and has to be helped off. Make their way into the arena. Johnny gets a mic from Austin Theory, and the North American champ runs down a list of curses, including the guy on the front row who can't get a girlfriend, but they're still pulling for him. Like it's Cleveland Browns. Johnny overcome his curse last week. He names things he's the best at, including dancing. Candice calls him maybe the most powerful man ever. She's got him saying it's a plaque to commemorate the end of the streak. He thanks her and starts talking about the most beautiful thing in his life. But we learn what it is, talking about his wife on the belt. Theory and Indy Hartwell present with another gift. Since Johnny's real-life superhero, they've got Madroman of Way looking like the Fantastic Four. Gargano then announced that he and Theory would be a Dusty Classic, but here comes Shotzi Blackheart. Theory matches up to the ramp to put stop to it, and Shotzi shoots a cannon at his, I would say testicles would be the best word. As we say in England, his tallywhacker took a strike there. She drives to the ring, she and the Ray start fighting. The Way circles the way. She to help even the odds. Our host calls for the bell, and we got a mixed tag match, even though Johnny and Candice are in the street clothes. What do you think of that segment with Johnny just being an A+ arsehole?
Oh my goodness, man! I have to say he is doing a great job. I know he's trying to get heat, but man, he just cracks me up. Everything Gargano does, says, the way he does it, all the way like the little things, like saying, as a special lady in his eye, or whatever, and looking at his title belt, but acting like he was talking about Candice in a way, just like you said, being a douche, but just so clever, or like he just cracks me up. I don't know, like, again, I know he's not trying to do that, but he does. Of course, I wondered what everyone else. I think everyone else had to wonder the same thing. How did Dexter Lumis draw that picture so fast? To make the match, but he's ready. I found it hilarious, by the way, that when the match starts off, that Loomis is on commentary.
Yeah.
I have no clue why, but I guess you just stare. But it's still entertaining nonetheless.
Well, and again, Barrett is brilliant because Vic Jones going, why is he not saying anything? He goes, well, he doesn't talk, so what do you want?
Yeah, right, exactly. I think they even joked about tuxedos. I think Vic, wanted Wade wanted to talk about tuxedos with Wade, and Wade Barrett was like, no, his tuxedo is perfect, not yours.
It's just, it adds, like I said, a good commentary adds to the action so much more than anything else. And I think with NXT at the moment, it really, really is good stuff. And of course, we've got our match, Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano versus Shotzi Blackheart and Kushida. The Hills through group on the outside. We're right to an advert, and then we're back. Candice to working the arm. The comeback is thwarted as soon as back and forth, and after the wind-up punch, LeRae saves her husband. She pulls her hair up for some intergender action, and Johnny almost hits his wife when Kushida dodges a sneak attack. Blackheart recovers, and they hit a tandem move on Candice. Things break down, and the face hits stereo dive, and Shotzi overshoots and hits a ramp quite hard. But Theory gets involved. A counter sends Johnny right into his tallywhacker again. Theory gets hit twice. Gargano checks him, which allows Kushida to roll him up for the pinfall victory. It was comic relief, but I think it worked quite well, this matchup.
Oh, definitely. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't meant to be like a wrestling classic. I think it did a great job. How good did Kushida look? Even with Theory trying to, interfere. Him getting the best of Johnny, and what that could possibly set up in the future. Maybe a Kushida versus Gargano program. Who knows? I think even the moment that they got in this match together alone really had me excited for a possible feud. And and by the way, that dive, I wonder, it's another dive where I just wonder, is she okay? And it just never fails. I almost count on it at this point that she's gonna, do a suicide dive or do a dive of some sort to where I wonder, is she fine? But I assume everything is fine. But I really enjoyed how well Kushida looked in this match. The selling of the Garganos was great in this match. I thought maybe you could see this on any other week of NXT TV, but it was the good type of NXT TV. So, like you said, comic relief, but very, very enjoyable.
Yeah, I think without a shadow of a doubt, like I said, Kushida's looking good. He's next in line. And we've talked about Shotzi before and having to maybe just tone it down just a little bit. Out of 5, it was a standard match for me. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. I think that would be fair enough.
Yeah, I'm right around 3 stars myself.
And then we see Undisputed Era, Carl O'Reilly warming up. We're told that the next takeover will be February 14th. So I'm looking forward to that. We get to spend Valentine's Day together. Isn't that nice?
That's so sweet. It's very sweet.
Well, after a break, we learn that the Grizzled Young Vets will face Everrise next week. Then Mr. Regal tells us that the Women's Dusty Classic is coming. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, man, I can't wait. I'm excited. They have, again, another example of just how deep and well this roster is put together. I can't wait to see who the actual teams are. I can already piece a couple up in my mind. We just saw Indy and LeRae, and I don't know who they would get to team with. Shotzi, maybe an Ember Moon, maybe. I'm not sure. Just off the top of my head, maybe. I don't know. Tony Storm could partner up with someone. Raquel and Dakota Kai. You have Casey and Casey and Casey and Kaden, I think is her, Kaden Carter. So you have that team, so they definitely have enough teams to fill out the tournament, and I'm interested in to see, what happens and the quality of the tournament. I know the males Dusty tournaments are usually great stuff, so I think the women can only add to that legacy.
I think without a shadow of a doubt. And then we see Pete Dunne and the tag champs, the front row for our main event. And it's Kyle O'Reilly versus Finn Balor. I mean, the question is now, who do you want to win and why? Before this match even starts.
Okay, well, I must admit, I was actually, before this match, rooting for Kyle O'Reilly to win this match. I thought it would have been a great moment, or at least a great opportunity to do something that maybe, I don't know if Kyle O'Reilly necessarily get another chance to do, especially with Finn Balor as champion and people like Cross returning into the fold maybe down in the future. Who knows what was going to happen. So I thought maybe let him have this moment, and maybe playing on Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly feud at some point would be a move to go to. But once the match started and I was kind of caught up on what's been going on as far as Finn Balor feeling the way he feels. I love the commentary in this match. I know you haven't got into it. They did a really good job of explaining, how Finn Balor felt coming into this match. The fact that everyone was talking about, instead of talking about the fact that he was still champion, they're talking about the fact that he broke his jaw. So after getting into that element of the match, I think Finn Balor had me rooting for him by the end of this.
Well, I can't believe it's been 3 months since TakeOver 31, since the very first matchup. Where does the time go? But like I said, the first shoulder tackle for Carl sees Finn check on his jaw, and they go mat and exchange stuff while Carl has a slight advantage. Finn applies an abdominal stretch to stop his momentum. When Carl can't use his hands to break it, he bites on the ropes to do so, and Finn knees him in the back of the head. Hits for the jaws. The medic checks on Kyle. That was a vicious point there, but again, a start of the story, so to speak, wasn't it?
Exactly. It was actually probably the most prominent moment in the match, or at least the most important moment, because of how it was well done. Not only was it a little precursor to the finish, it was also just a very, like you said, a brutal moment, and also told you the intention of Finn Balor for the rest of this match was not only to beat and best Kyle O'Reilly, but he wanted to hurt him.
I think without a doubt, and even as Kyle gets going on offense, he still chops check on his jaw. Finn is an extra vicious one with everything he does. He grinds his forearm across Kyle's jaw into the corner, for example, and targets it with things like a back elbow. Kyle sells the hell out of it. He finally gets an open with a kitchen sink. The commentary, like we said, is really good tonight, especially Wade, and he explains what a receipt is in this match as well, for anybody that doesn't know, which again adds another extra dimension to it,
I agreed. I really loved his explanation. Again, like I said, he set the scene perfectly and letting you know what you were witnessing, why Finn Balor was way more aggressive than he tends to be at times, a little less flashy. I think he even mentioned, either Belt or Barrett mentioned that Balor was less flashy and more aggressive and to the point. And I agree in the receipt, explaining the concept and the fact that Finn Balor wanted revenge. And that element, again, only made the match that much better.
Well, we see Kyle file off knees and gets an earful, taking the kick out and grabbing the arm for a submission. Finn knees him in the jaw to escape. They start trading strikes and kicks. Kyle rolls into a leg lock, but Finn boots his way free. Kyle hits a running kick with such power that the torque sends him flying through the ropes and outside. He barely beats the count back in. That was a great exchange. And this was just enjoyable to watch. It wasn't anything kind of blow your mind, but it was just an enjoyable wrestling match,
Agreed. They didn't seem to try to go too far or fight too far out their body. No super insane spots. A lot of just smart, technical, but also just very, very aggressive wrestling. And I love the fact that was a unique way to do the count out spot. We've seen the other way, the both guys outside the ring, or one guy beats the count type of thing. That done over and over. But the creativity of the fact that Kyle O'Reilly's own momentum put him in that situation, man, I agree. It was just such a well done spot. And this match was put together well in general, in my point of view.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When I was just watching it, and there wasn't anything else. It was even like making notes and just trying to enjoy the action. We see Cole wrenching Finn's arm through the pain of getting hit in the face. Cole gets a guillotine, but Finn blocks only to get trapped in a triangle choke. That turns into a leg lock. Finn breaks it with another shot to the jaw. He then drives more forearms, but has no use of his left arm. 1916 hits and he transitions over to a crossface. Cole manages to fight free by hitting the injured wrist. They slug it out until Finn hits the sling blade. John Rue dropkick connects, a superplex follows, and they nearly pin each other. At that point, when they went to pin each other, I thought, don't you do it this way and give us another rematch.
Yeah, I agree. It was so close. Was not ready for it to end like that.
Cole rose into a brainbuster for two and then goes into an arm submission that Finn breaks by going to the ropes. The Finn is busted open. And I think with the injuries that we've heard with the jaw and then what they've sustained, and now the blood, it adds so much more realism. It feels like you're actually watching like a kind of MMA style fight because of the damage they're doing to each other, you know?
I agree. I think it's a welcome element, to their matches. The fact that they fight a submission / very physical striking style match. And you see, like you said, a blood, the cuts or whatever it is. It definitely tells a story of not only just how competitive the match is, but just how much they are putting in trying to defeat each other.
And I think, I mentioned MMA, I think the ending as well, more so than anything I've seen in quite a while, because Finn booting Carl the liver and stops him from charging. You can see Carl reacting to it. You think, oh, he's in serious trouble. He still tries to go for the leg, but it's put back in the abdominal stretch. Finn drops down into a different submission, applying pressure on the jaw and gets the victory. Finn Balor retains the title. Is it me? Did that, as I say, more MMA? It kind of felt like it just finished as opposed to building a crescendo. Is there anything wrong with that, or do you think because of the style it had to finish like this?
I think it works well, like you said, within the style of the match. It works well. It kind of reminds me of Tim Thatcher and Matt Riddle's match. I think they were in the pit, and I think if I remember it right, it ended with a submission, and it just fits really well within that style of match, that MMA type of match. So I don't think it was necessarily a bad thing, but I do understand how, if you want to compare it to like the big crescendos or the big highlight finishes that we all know and love sometimes, especially from matches from Finn or like from what happened in the first match. I get what you're saying, but in the context of what he was trying to do, which was injure Kyle O'Reilly in the story, I think it works really, really well. And standing tall at the end when the Undisputed Era runs in to check on Kyle, man, did that make Finn Balor look like a badass.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They came in to check. Carl was kind of stared off into the distance. Didn't want to hear anything of it. Looking dejected, and Finn survived just looking on. Talk about blood, sweat, and tears. I kind of want the Cole twin because I think that would have been a great story for his just desserts, but hopefully it's something they continue. I give polls with 63% to Finn Balor. Out of 5, I'm going to give that a 4.25 out of 5. Wasn't as good as the TakeOver 31 match, but still a great technical match if he needs to is a great match overall.
I agree 100%. I gave it the exact same scores, right around 4.25. It was a really solid match. I do not think the thing was I was thinking about giving it 4.5, kind of like Rhea and Raquel, but I did not think it deserved the credit to be on par with that match. I thought that was by far the best match of the night. Even though again I really enjoyed Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly's match, and it wasn't match of the year quality, but when you have a great match like that, it's always gonna be, is it as good as the first one, or is it as good as that type of match? And that doesn't mean this match isn't a great match in its own right.
No, I think without doubt, and I think to talk about our match of the night, then will be the last women standing. I mean, overall in the event, I think my person of the night has got to be Gonzalez because the punishment she put on with Rhea Ripley was incredible. But I think if anybody's coming out here looking like a star and looking like next in line, I think Gonzalez is my pick for this event.
I agree. I believe she gained the most out of everyone. Even though Finn Balor looked good and Cross, he got back on track. I think long term, or at least for his most meaningful moments right now, Raquel definitely is the person of the night. She deserves that honor, and they deserve, both women deserve a hats off for that performance.
And what would be your score out of 10 for the first NXT special of the year?
Out of 10, I would say about an 8.5. I really enjoyed some parts of this of the show, but it was also some parts of the show where I thought was pretty much anything you would see on a weekly NXT. I think maybe, of course, if we would have got Thatcher and Ciampa in the pit, it definitely would have added a element to the show that probably would have took it over the top and made it more takeover like. But other than Kyle O'Reilly, the last women's standing match, and maybe Cross and definitely Cross and Priest, I don't think anything else is really like a takeover worthy. So 8.5 is probably where I end up.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8, 8 3/4 out of 10. Like I said, it probably wasn't the best NXT special we had, and I think part of the problem with that was because of Halloween Havoc, kind of had that set that all the matches were kind of based along that. I don't think New Year's Evil thing came into play once. I think even like compared to Great American Bash, I don't think it really made a difference. The 3 matches did. I'm a little bit worried about the tag team division still in NXT. Let's hope the Dusty Classic can add to that. But I think overall, it was a good event. And I think the women again stole the show. And how many times do we say that, like you said, at an NXT TakeOver or a special event? But rating wise, we talk about TV ratings. Dynamite defeated NXT in this episode. Obviously, there's a lot of problems happened in America over the week as well, which maybe have affected these ratings. Dynamite got 662,000 viewers, where NXT got 641,000. Wednesday marked the first night of AEW's 2-week New Year's Smash, featured a pair of title matches: Kenny Omega against Rey Fenix and Hikaru Kushida versus Abdomen. More of that next week. Are you surprised that NXT lost, and do the ratings actually matter that much at this moment in time?
Well, I know to some people and to plenty of circles out there, they mean a whole lot. I seen definitely on Thursdays, they are definitely top wrestling news to a lot of people. They're not really a big deal to me personally, but I can speak for not only myself, but for a lot of people that I have been in contact with that Wednesday who I know follow wrestling. Not that they weren't keeping up with it. It was definitely the people, those numbers are not necessarily bad in my opinion. They're just, of course, lower than we've seen for past takeovers and past, nights for both shows. So I think definitely what was going on in the country that day had, took a lot of people's attention away from the wrestling that was going on there. So I don't necessarily think this rating hurts NXT's credibility or anything like that. But I know personally for me the ratings don't mean a whole lot. I enjoy my wrestling. I didn't even get a chance to watch it live Wednesday night. Not only because of what was going on in the country, but just life in general. So I had mine DVR and I got a chance to check it out later. And so the ratings to me don't really mean a whole lot, but I know it's circles out there who these numbers mean a lot to, and to those people, yeah, I think they matter.
But I've never watched a wrestling event because it's had the most ratings. I've never really. I don't go. What am I going to watch this week? Dynamite or NXT? Let's see how many more people watched it. But like I said, at the moment, the whole world, it is really, really struggling, and I think, like I said, as a Britain suffering Brexit and with everything that's going on with COVID as well, I feel you struggle, especially when it comes to what's going on in America at this moment in time. And it's good that we've got a bit of wrestling that can, like I said, try and put smiles on faces. Finally, we're going to look at the Dusty Classic because WWE have announced that Kushida and Liam Ruff and the Bollywood Boys will be taking part in this year's men's Dusty Road Tag Team Classic. I've got an updated list of teams. We've got the Undisputed Era, Adam Cole and Roderick Strong, Ever Rise, Chase Parker and Matt Martell, Breezango, Breeze and Fandango, Kurt Stallion and August Gray, Killian Dane, Drake Maverick, Imperium, the Grizzled Young Vets, Legado Down Phantasma, Johnny Garn, Austin Theory, Isaiah Swerve, Scott, Jake Atlas, Kushida and Ruff, and the Bollywood Boys. And of course, it will kick off with Undisputed Era versus Breezango and the Grizzled Young Vets versus Ever Rise. coming up on the next episode of NXT. What are your thoughts on the Dusty Classic, and who's your pick? Let's have a pick. I'll pick a team, you'll pick a team. We'll see who the outright winner is.
Okay. Well, honestly, I'm very interested. I can't believe that. Did you say Isaiah Scott and Jake Atlas? They're going to be teaming with each other.
Yeah, they're on the same team.
So that's an interesting concept. They with their recent back and forth. And, so I would like to see the story there. I don't know if that means well for them necessarily in this tournament. But I can't wait to see. I gotta say that's interesting. That caught my ear. But I believe from the beginning, since when I saw them talk about it, and the Undisputed Era mentioned it in their promo, I think right after that, the camera went to the Grizzled Young Vets in the crowd. Or I could be wrong. At some point, they put the cameras on them, and I liked them when they showed up in NXT for the last run, but pre-pandemic. I liked them. As a few times that I got a chance to watch them in the NXT UK. So I think Grizzly Young Vets will be a great team to not only win the Classic, but to challenge, Lorcan and Birch. So I would love to see those two teams go head to head, and I think I'm going with Grizzly Young Vets.
Well, you took my pick, but I can change it. It's fine.
Sorry about that.
No. I should have gone first. Because you've gone Grizzly Young Vets for Drake Maverick and Killian Dane, because they've had a little bit of tete-a-tete with the NXT Tag Team Champions. And like you said, WWE love the oddball story. And can they finally work together as a fully team and realise their goals by winning the Dusty Classic? No, they can't. Grizzly Young Vets.
At all if they took it. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if they took it.
So we'll find out maybe on the, like I said, our next show together will be Takeover, and we'll cover the Dusty Classic and all the stuff that's going on there. But that is it. And don't forget, our follower of the week is Mandy the Goddess 4, and we're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. Do you want to just plug your Twitter and everything like that you've got going on?
All right. Please check out my Twitter at Monty Mo Pod, MONTY MOPOD Pod, Monty Mo Pod. So check us out on Twitter. I put out a weekly podcast every week, mostly covering this week in wrestling, but definitely we'll try to be leading with other type forms of content. Also, I'm definitely getting started also on my reaction channel on YouTube, so I will be sending out links at my Twitter and all of that there. So please give us a check out and listen. And I thank you guys, and I thank you for allowing me back here all the time. It's been great. I have definitely enjoyed these shows, and it's nice to get my feet wet out here in this world and in the wrestling community, and continue to keep putting out content. So definitely I can't wait to see you get Takeover.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like I said, it's always great to have you on, and anybody enjoyed the first 20 minutes, half hour of us talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling, please check Monty out, because he goes into such detail, and he knows a lot more than I do about Japanese wrestling. So go and check him out. Make sure you can go into there for more detail as well. And don't forget, with the WNR, we're on Facebook and also Instagram. You can send us an email, the WNR Podcast at gmail.com. And we're on YouTube, the WNR Podcast, for all the latest clips and podcasts go at the same time on YouTube as do SoundCloud on your phone. Also Stitcher and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate and review there. So that is it. Our next episode is Impact Hard to Kill with the Ultimate One. But until then, I have been James Rowlands, and our pleasure to be joined by Monty. Thank you very much for doing it. And like I said, each show is just getting better and better, isn't it?
I agree 100%. And thank you again for having me. And let's do it again for Takeover.
Yeah, let's spend Valentine's Day together. But thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.
Adios.